And thank you for staying with us. Solutions Journalism Network trains and connects journalists to report about what's missing in today's news. Joining us now to tell us a little bit more is Mikhael Simmonds, and we welcome you to the show, and good to have you.
Thank you, thank you.
So we talk about solutions journalism. Let's just get right at it. You know, nowadays we hear a lot about fake news.
Yeah.
And the reality is that there's not a lot of fake news. There are some places where there's a lot of fake news exists, but the truth is, getting down to real effective journalism is something that you guys are after.
Yeah. A lot of times when we speak with people and journalists as well, they say we turn off from the news. Every time we look at the news, it's bad. This is bad, that is bad, the world is going to hell. But in truth and in fact, that's not the reality. We ask journalists to investigate solutions, not just problems. It's easy to say there's traffic, there's crime, there's high something negative and low something positive. But there are people responding to this problem in a systematic way. We're asking journalists to turn your lens and put all your investigative power into what's working. Not just a hero worship, not just someone who's awesome, but what changed? Why does County A have a better education system than County B? And what can we learn from that? You know, it's really diversifying your media diet. You know, we're accustomed to eating the same bad food all the time, and we're saying, no, the world is a little more complex than that. And things are getting better. Why?
And you got to show people where and why, right?
Yeah, where and why.
And so how do you go about bringing this out to the masses?
So we work with about 200 newsrooms across the world. Most of them in the US, but we've worked with BBC based out of London. We've worked with The Nation based out of Kenya, and we're also in Latin America as well. And we work with these journalists to investigate the stories in your community. We say we aren't the experts. I am not the expert about in the Bronx. You are. So we help you look at what's working in a very systemic way and help you report these lessons to spread to the world. And many times there are lessons across borders that people can learn. So we've had a newsroom in Alabama or Mississippi, if I remember correctly, who's doing a story about tropical diseases on the rise in the South. And she came to us and said, you know, I'm looking to find out who's doing it better. You know, it's on the rise here. Who has gone through this, learned lessons, and succeeded responding to this? And we said, hey, look at Kenya. You know, all the reporting of sub-Saharan Africa has always been bad, bad, bad. People have responded to these problems and successfully overcome them. But we don't turn our lens to that. We're asking you to turn our lens. So you have a reporter in the United States learning from journalists in Kenya, in Nairobi, about lessons on health.
Getting people to focus on that and really breaking away from the norm, that's kind of hard. Because we've been taught in journalism when you first start out, if it bleeds, it leads. Pretty much all the stuff that you see that starts a newscast.
Yeah.
To get somebody to change that method of thinking is extremely hard. Yes, no?
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
Okay.
We meet journalists who, as you said, it bleeds, it leads. I want to hear about the worst of everything. If anything is going good or if anything is working well, I either don't want to talk about it or I think it's going to be advocacy or propaganda, which is not true. You're just reporting on it with the same vigor. But many other journalists, actually most other journalists, look for this because you tell the story over and over again, day after day, year after year. And when we speak with these journalists, they realize they're only telling half of the story. And as a journalist, you're curious. You want to know the full story. You want to know why this hospital have lower rates of success, but this hospital is doing it better. And that curiosity is what we tap into, and that curiosity has made a lot of these news organizations we work with really sign on board to do these projects.
And so when you have the opportunity to bring this to people, I know that you also have some proposals that are out there as well?
Yeah, so we work with a lot of different news organizations, as I said. We split it by topics, some on health, some on climate, some on technology, some on, actually you spoke about the elections, you know, what are people on the ground doing to make the democratic process more democratic, you know, what are their responses? So those are the projects we're working on, but we also just partnered with Google. If you all have an Android phone or Google Assist, you can say, tell me something good. Google, tell me something good. And it will bring up solutions journalism stories from our story tracker. About 4,000 stories, almost 5,000 now, about things that are working in the world. People responding to the problems and succeeding and learning from that. So we always have projects going on, and that's just the latest one.
The interest in mainstream media when you're talking about bringing solutions journalism, because obviously that's a totally different mindset than what we're used to seeing today on television and across media. What's been the reception, in media outlets when you talk about bringing solutions-based journalism?
We've had mixed reception, but mostly positive. So, for example, again, as you mentioned, it bleeds, it leads. That's where we tend to go. But it's been positive because we want to tell the full story. And a lot of times people say, well, you know, the audience doesn't want to hear this. But the audience sits down every night looking at procedurals from beginning to end, Law and Order, SVU. And the idea is that you know the good guys are going to win. You know, you watch Mission Impossible, you know the good guys are going to win. But how? How did they overcome this problem? How did they succeed? And when a lot of these news organizations see that, they buy into that. The resistance we usually get is that 24-hour turn. The next thing that comes up, the next shiny thing, people change their focus and go to that. And to do solution journalism well, you need to take a step back and say, what don't I know? Ask a different set of questions of your audience, of your sources. And that has been one of those stumbling blocks, but people are learning and organizations are learning. As I said, the BBC, one of the largest news organizations in the world, you can't get any more mainstream than that. And they have 4 focused solution journalism shows, 1 on radio, 1 online, and 2 on television. So it can be done.
It can be done. So how do people find out more about solutions journalism?
You could check our website, solutionsjournalism.org. And if you're looking for the stories, solution journalism stories, you could Google solutions journalism story tracker, and you will see the 4,000, almost 5,000 stories we have. And it's all filtered through. You could type in any topic, any issue you may have, and you'll get to read these stories or view these stories or listen to these stories about people responding to problems.
And you said you go as far as the BBC in London all the way over to the United States.
Yeah. We work with large newsrooms as the BBC, but we also have small digital-first newsrooms like the Richland Source for reporters working in Richland, Ohio, and they do amazing work as well. They did an amazing story about infant mortality. They had one of the worst infant mortality rates, that county, Richland County, in the country. And they were doing this story, and they said, okay, no, who's doing it better? Who had a poor infant mortality rate? And what did they do to improve it? And they looked all over the world, and the best example they found was Finland. And instead of just saying Finland did it, they said, no, what did Finland do differently? What was the resistance? What did politicians say? What did people say? How did they overcome it? And now they saw what Finland's done, and they executed on this story, and it's changing their community because it's giving people a blueprint to how to do things better, as opposed to things can't get better or it's just bad every day, everywhere.
So we want people to pay particular attention. I mean, there are some solutions out there. We just have to focus in a little bit more on the solutions.
Yeah, there are 207 stories based in the Bronx, actually. Right. In your borough, you could say, you know what this church is doing. This is what this school is doing. This is what this hospital is doing to raise the rate of certain things and lower the rates of others.
No more boring journalism.
No more boring journalism.
Solutions-based journalism.
Yes, sir.
And if you're doing journalism and solutions-based journalism, you have to have a sock game.
Yeah, exactly.
Show me a sock game.
So you're right.
You have to show them sock games. See, yeah, you can't be on TV with just these plain black socks anymore.
Of course
That's
not.
right.
Yeah.
Solutions-based journalism.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
All right, listen, we've come to the end of our show today. We want to thank all of our guests for joining us and you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast at 5 and 10 p.m. on Optimum's Channel 67, Verizon Files Channel 33, or watch anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. Now, before we go, talk about solutions-based journalism, we've got to give a special shout-out to the students at Independence High School in Independence, Mississippi, where I had the chance to do a little bit of solutions-based journalism, teaching them the opportunity to see what it's like to work in a newsroom. And so met with 3 blocks of students, and they got to put on their own little newscast right there in the classroom. Special shout-out to Ms. Mayman for making it happen. So Independence, Mississippi, what's up, everybody? Gotta go. Daren Jaime saying take care and God bless.